Welcome to Learning English, a daily 30-minute program from the Voice of America. I'm Ashley Thompson.
And I'm Mario Ritter Jr. This program is designed for English learners, so we speak a little slower and we use words and phrases especially written for people learning English. On today's program, John Russell reports on a piano player who is blind. Katie Weaver reports on the most recent Nobel Prize. Schools teach citizenship on the Education Report. And finally, the lesson of the day. But first,
Takosangba Pongen could see until he was 14 years old. He has been blind for the 13 years since. But nobody would know that by watching Pongen perform on the piano. Pongen said playing the piano helped him after he lost his sight. It opened a window to see the world. It gives me energy and hope to go forward, he said. Recently, he performed at the Brilliant Piano Festival in Bengaluru, the capital of the southern Indian state of Karnataka. Pongen plays by ear. He taught himself to play, assisted by piano training on YouTube that he began using in 2020. He said he would like to be a professional musician someday. But he is having difficulty finding a place that teaches piano to people with sight or vision problems. Pongen first noticed his vision problems at school. He could not see clearly enough to read words on the blackboard in the room. Then he remembers having difficulty seeing the small glass balls called marbles that he liked to play with. A medical operation to treat the problem failed, worsening his vision. By 14, Pongen was blind. Pongen says that he sometimes wishes he could see, but adds that he also accepts his condition as God's plan. He believes he is meant to serve as a model in how to face difficulty, lending support to others through example. If a blind man can do it, why can't others who are fully able? Pongen said. Brilliant organizers said they believe in the power of music as an agent of social development. Pongen is a part of their Specially Abled Musicians program. He played Nocturne in B-flat minor, a work written by Frédéric Chopin. Pongen said Chopin is one of his favorite writers of music. I love music that is expressive and emotional, he said. Pongen came more than 3,000 kilometers to Bengaluru. He traveled with his sister, Imli Benna, by his side to play at Brilliant Festival, the 5th of its kind. His heart was racing, he said, when the program director, Hyochano TCK, presented him to the other musicians. The nervousness returned as his performance time arrived. Pongen said he took a deep breath to calm himself. Then Imli Benla gently guided him onto the stage. She helped to seat him in front of the piano. From there, he played beautifully. I'm John Russell.
The Nobel Committee has brought attention to worldwide inequalities by awarding its economic prize to 3 Americans, Darren Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James A. Robinson. The Nobel Committee of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said The three won the 2024 Nobel Economics Prize for studies of how institutions are formed and affect prosperity. Committee Chair Jakob Svensson said, "Reducing the vast differences in income between countries is one of our time's greatest challenges." He added that their research has provided a much deeper understanding of the root causes of why countries fail or succeed. The wealthiest 20% of the world's countries are now around 30 times richer than the poorest 20%, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences noted. The difference continues, although poor countries have become relatively richer. In 2021, the World Inequality Report said that the poorest half of the world's population owned just 2% of wealth, while the richest 10% controlled 76% of wealth. Acemoglu and Johnson work at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, while Robinson conducts his research at the University of Chicago. Their findings are included in the 2012 book, Why Nations Fail: The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty, written by Acemoglu and Robinson. In their work, the winners studied the city of Nogales, which sits on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. Despite sharing the same geography, climate, many of the same ancestors, and a common culture, life is different on either side of the border. In Nogales, Arizona, to the north, people are relatively wealthy and live long lives. Most children complete high school. To the south, in Mexico's Nogales, Sonora, people are much poorer, and the city suffers from organized crime and corruption. The difference, the economists said, is a U.S. system that protects property rights and gives citizens a say in their government. The book includes evidence from ancient Rome to modern-day Nogales. It says that inclusive institutions make countries richer. It also says democracy, the rule of law, and the protection of property rights prevent a small ruling class from owning most resources and wealth. Reached by the Academy in Athens, Greece, the Turkish-born Acemoglu said he was surprised and shocked by the award. He said the research honored by the prize underscores the value of democratic institutions. I think, broadly speaking, the work that we have done favors democracy, he noted. Acemoglu and Robinson had to explain why some countries with less than democratic systems, like Singapore and China, have become much wealthier. Robinson told the Associated Press that he does not believe China can continue its economic prosperity under a repressive political system. There's many examples in world history of societies like that do well for 40, 50 years, Robinson said by phone. What you see is that's never sustainable. The Soviet Union did well for 50 or 60 years. Argentina was one of the richest countries in the world at the time of the First World War. What our theory predicts is that's a transitory situation. Robinson said many societies have successfully made the transition to what he, Acemoglu, and Johnson call an inclusive society. In the modern world, you've seen that in South Korea, in Taiwan, in Mauritius, he said. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences awards the prize in memory of Alfred Nobel. The prize was established after Nobel's death. I'm Katie Weaver.
You are listening to the VOA Learning English podcast. Today, Katie Weaver reported on the final Nobel Prize of 2024. We have Katie with us today to talk more about her report. Welcome, Katie.
Hi there, Mario. Thanks for having me.
Katie, this Nobel Prize was interesting because it was research that almost everyone can understand on some level. It also shows ways that people talk about things like wealth and prosperity. Could you tell our listeners more about those words and what they might mean?
I'd be happy to. The word prosperity has long been linked with the idea of success and wealth. But the word's roots also have a meaning of flourishing and growth. Prosperity does not seem to only relate to money, but to all the things that normal people associate with success.
And wealth, is it good or bad?
Well, wealth has a general meaning usually associated with the ownership of property. For economists, however, the word wealth means anything of economic value, which can also include things that are not material, such as a method, skill, or an intellectual idea. The Scottish philosopher Adam Smith wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations, published in 1776. Smith explored how wealth is created through productivity. Many Americans know the proverb, or wise saying, that is credited to Benjamin Franklin. Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. The idea is that good habits result in gains for anyone who practices good habits. But more than most words, prosperity and wealth might mean different things to different people. For some people, having a growing and thriving family is a sign of prosperity or wealth. Others might think the words are only measured by money. It really depends on what the speaker is talking about and their state of mind.
Well, thank you for that explanation, Katie. We look forward to talking with you again.
Me too, Mario. Thanks again.
Early education expert Dan Gartrell says the most important civics lesson that preschools can teach is social democracy. Gartrell wrote a book about teaching democracy to preschoolers. It is called Education for a Civil Society. The book is used by the ACCA Child Development Center near Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia. Gartrell said this teaching starts with appreciating each member of the group as a worthy member and worthy of expressing thoughts and ideas. He said after that, children can learn to treat others with kindness, to solve conflicts, and negotiate difficult situations by using words that do not hurt other people's feelings. Rachel Robertson is Chief Academic Officer for Bright Horizons. The company operates preschool centers around the world. It uses democratic ideas in its education. Robertson said that a child starts to be a real community member at around age 3 or 4. She said the child starts contributing to the classroom community and thinking a little bit broader about the world. At ACCA in Virginia, children are given a lot of autonomy. There are hours spent doing free play. Children vote on what they study and eat. On a recent day, one classroom had just finished studying sand because the children wanted to know about it after they visited beaches over the summer. The children also tried different apples and voted on which apples the school should order. The ACCA said the decision-making process is meant to affirm to children that their thoughts and the thoughts of their classmates are valuable. Reporters with the Associated Press recently visited an ACCA classroom. The reporters found the children taking a vote on who the best character was on Paw Patrol, an animated TV series. The 3- and 4-year-old children were choosing between 2 finalists, a German Shepherd named Chase, who wears a police uniform, and Sky, who wears a pink pup pack. Educators at ACCA say they are teaching ideas of civics to students early. Their goal, they say, is to raise good citizens and strengthen democracy. The students are not learning about the structure and rules of government, but teachers say they are working with students on how to solve problems with classmates, how to deal with anger or disappointment, and how to think of the needs of others. Mary Folks is a teacher at ACCA. She said, "We're all here to help develop these children to become better citizens, to be better problem solvers, and to be better equipped socially, emotionally." Maria Isabel Bolivian is the preschool's executive director. She said she looks for ways to remind students that they are American. For example, she holds a large 4th of July gathering. Bolivian said, "If we give them now a sense of belonging, that's going to be a tool that they will have to become resilient once they face discrimination." Bolivian added, "I don't see how we can change the adults, but I do know if we work hard, we can prepare our children for a better future." As for the class vote at ACCA, they narrowly supported Sky in their vote for Best Paw Patrol Character. I'm Mario Ritter, Jr.
My name is Andrew Smith.
And my name is Jill Robbins. You're listening to the Lesson of the Day on the Learning English podcast. Welcome to the part of the show where we help you do more with our series, Let's Learn English. This series shows Ana Mateo in her work and life in Washington, D.C.
In lesson 35 of the series, Anna and her roommate Marcia are having some friends over for dinner. Let's listen.
Hi there. Washington, D.C. has many fun places to eat, but sometimes it's more fun to cook. In fact, tonight, Marcia and I are cooking for friends. Well, she is cooking. I am doing the shopping. Marcia. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, Anna. Do you have the shopping list?
Yes, I told you I have the shopping list. Can you hear it?
Okay, good. I hear the list. Anna, please buy all the ingredients on the list.
Yes, Marcia, I will.
And do not spend too much time shopping.
No, Marcia, I won't. See you later.
It's always a good idea to bring a shopping list to the store. They say if you stick to your list, you will save money because you won't just buy things that look good.
Oh, do you mean impulse buying? I know. When I go to the store, they always have the cookies and cupcakes right at the front. They're the first thing you see when you walk in, and they look so tasty.
But if they're not on your list, just pass them by. Impulse buying something without thinking about it too much, can be hard on your food budget. Anyway, Anna has her list. Let's find out if she was able to get everything they need to make dinner for their friends.
Hi. Anna, what took you so long? Our guests will be here soon.
Don't worry, Marcia. I bought everything on the list.
Let me see. You bought a bunch of bananas, a box of pancake mix, a bag of coffee. Anna, this is all wrong.
What do you mean wrong? I bought a jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread. No, wait. 2 loaves of bread.
Anna, these are the wrong ingredients.
These ingredients are all on the list. I took this list from the counter.
Anna, this is the shopping list for breakfast. I said, take the shopping list on the refrigerator for dinner.
Marcia, there was no shopping list on the refrigerator for dinner.
Oh no! It's on the floor!
Uh-oh. I can tell this will be an interesting dinner. Did you notice all the partitive nouns in that part, Jill?
I did. I think we should explain. We use partitive nouns to talk about a quantity of something. Together with another noun, they tell us how much of it there is. So Marcia said,
You bought a bunch of bananas, a box of pancake mix, a bag of coffee. Anna, this is all wrong.
So the partitive structures there are a bunch of bananas. Bunch is the partitive noun. A box of pancake mix. There, the partitive is box. And a bag of coffee. Bag is the partitive noun.
you could also call these measure words, since we are measuring the amount we have. Let's see if our listeners now can pick up some more of these words in what Anna says.
What do you mean wrong? I bought a jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread. No, wait. 2 loaves of bread.
Did you get them? They are jar and loaf. One more thing I noticed, Jill, is the pronunciation of the word of in these structures. It seems to be reduced.
I think it is. We might just use the reduced vowel, our old friend schwa, instead of clearly saying the word of.
Right. So I could say a loaf of bread. And you hear that very quickly, just the sound, a loaf of bread. I wonder what Marcia is going to do with these foods. Peanut butter sandwiches for dinner? Let's listen.
What are we going to do?
When do our guests arrive?
They arrive in 30 minutes.
I can fix this. Do you trust me?
Do I have to?
Yes.
So it was a mix-up with the lists. Andrew, I think we're going to have to skip ahead to lesson 36 to find out what Anna makes.
Sounds like a good idea to me. Anna seems like a very creative person. I think she can improvise.
As a musician, you know to improvise means to play something without a plan, right? Without music. But we use improvise in other situations, like when you make or do something using whatever you have. You don't plan it in advance. You just do it because you need to do something.
That's right. You do it on the spot, we say, without planning ahead of time. So let's see if Anna improvises with her bag of breakfast foods.
What are you cooking?
I made my favorite recipe, peanut butter banana pancakes.
You made breakfast.
Yes, I call it let's eat breakfast for dinner.
Anna! Hey, this tastes good. Anna, you made it work.
Of course. I'm Jill Robbins, and you're listening to the Lesson of the Day on the Learning English podcast. We've been talking about lessons 35 and 36 of Let's Learn English, a 52-lesson course you can study for free on our website, learningenglish.voanews.com.
In lesson 35, Anna made a mistake. She took the wrong shopping list to the store and bought breakfast food instead of food for a dinner party. But it all worked out fine in the end. That reminds me of a lesson I often teach my students. Make the most of your mistakes.
That's so true, Andrew. You know, I've studied a lot of languages, and I always learn more when I try something using what I've learned and I make a mistake. When I hear that what I said was wrong, it sinks in, and I remember not to say it that way again.
So, in lesson 36, we see that Anna embraces her mistake and makes a delicious dinner for her friends. Now, here's something you can do. Think of a language mistake you made when you were learning English. How did the mistake help you? Did it help you remember the correct word or structure? Tell us about it at learningenglish@voanews.com.
We do like to hear your comments and what you think of the lesson of the day on the Learning English podcast. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel where you can find this podcast and our videos.
Remember that you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for listening to the Lesson of the Day on the Learning English podcast. I'm Andrew Smith.
And I'm Dr. Jill.
And that's our program for today. Join us again tomorrow to keep learning English through stories from around the world. I'm Ashley Thompson.
And I'm Mario